Hey, hey.
Hey there, Drac. That was an emotional video.
Oh yeah. I hadn't ran that in a while. I had to find that one.
You know, it captures the feeling perfectly. Anyone else out there thinking about getting a job at McDonald's or something? I was honestly that guy playing the flute, that really struck me. I was thinking the whole time, I was like, why am I doing this, dude? Why am I letting my hair go gray? Why am I losing my hair sitting on these charts when I could just be out there in a beautiful mountain playing
Yeah.
the
Dude, you could go to a mountain, play the pan flute, live a simple life.
Yeah.
You know, not extravagant, but simple and peaceful.
Oh, yeah. The mountains of Honduras is calling my name. I'll just need about 10, 20 guys with machetes to keep me safe.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you just live off your TikTok bucks and,
Yeah.
do what you love every day.
I hope that guy's making TikTok bucks. He was pretty talented.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's making some TikTok money. So,
yeah. Well, you know who's not making money? Anyone long, dude.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could be worse looking. I mean, there's a pullback. We'll get to why, but definitely like a pullback happening right now. I just think that we're in that zone. We got end of the month is more Powell kind of stuff that we're waiting on. Now we got another, huge tariff thing we're waiting on. So the good news is, after the semi black swan event last weekend, a lot of things did recover and start to like gain ground back and all that stuff. But I don't think it's going to stop. It's not going to stop that there's going to be like a lot of volatility, I think, for the rest of this month.
Yeah.
There's just no way, also, we've talked about it on the show before, but, be on the lookout that week of the Powell announcement because, we usually have a lot of volatility like 3 or 4 days leading up to it. So don't be, flushed out there either because I got a feeling that's going to be a very volatile week.
I don't have my gong sound effect. I can't find the gong sound effect. I'll hit you with one of these. Volatility for the rest of the week. It's going to be a fucking nightmare out there, guys. Have you ever seen Master and Commander? There's a scene where a big hurricane hits their ship. That's what we're in for, dude. Who knows who's going to wash up? Who knows who's going to end up overboard? So you got to hold fast, okay? Hold fast because like you're saying, Drac, we got a lot of shenanigans on the horizon here, right? We got Powell, we got tariffs, we got general macroeconomic climate or whatever, right? And I don't think anyone I think it's unfortunate here. I'm going to get a little political here in that I think a lot of the movement that we're going to see is going to be much more dependent on more so the trade war stuff, tariff stuff than Powell's thing, right? I think I think the interest rates might be becoming a little bit not irrelevant, but much less significant.
Yeah, I mean, I think for instance, we were looking at this before the show. I mean, basically what happened was the series of events where Trump had one of his, crash out posts. It's a crash out when there's I don't know how long it was. It was 20 sentences of him just going off about China. So, that's how it starts. Of course, we get a liquidation cascade because, this industry is at all times insanely levered up. Everybody's levered up. So we had that insane cascade. Then over the weekend, they obviously go, whoops, we broke some shit. So then over the weekend, it's all lovey-dovey, it's going to be okay, guys. We're going to work it out. I was just upset, which, it's nice to have to deal with a president's mood swings on social media, the most powerful man in the world. But that's what we're dealing with. So he goes, oh, it was just, I was having a moment. Excuse me, guys, because that's what you do after you do that, right? I'm sorry that, people are jumping off roofs and, taking all their pills and, anyway, won't go far into that. But
side sided like, oh, and we can't say that. He sewer slided like 50,000 fucking traders, and then he was just like, "Whoops, senior moment."
Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, senior moment, guys. Sorry about that. Whoa, I don't know what happened. My sugar was low. So then over the weekend, it's more lovey-dovey. You know, he says we're gonna work it out. Vance says, oh yeah, don't worry about it, guys. It's cool. So I guess that only went so far because it was more of like, I don't want to say it was an afterthought, but they changed the tone of their language, but they say, hey, yeah, that still doesn't change that November 1st, you know, that's still what we're planning on doing. So what we're seeing with the pullback today is because China, I guess, says, all right, well, screw this. So now China is, you know, back to China's back to like threatening posture. So I think they were hoping to de-escalate the language over the weekend, but when they threw in that little, but yeah, you know, November 1st, we're still probably going to do it. So now we're out of the like, oh, everybody's cool, we'll work it out to, you know, more threatening stance.
Yeah, they're bouncing like crazy. It's also, I think, worth mentioning, like, this is why it's so frustrating. I think a big part of the reason why a lot of this is also so destabilizing is because we live in like a really fucked up media environment where like bits and pieces of this get shared and without full context. So I hope Trump has a better data feeds than you and I do. I'm assuming he does, but some people are saying that his freak out was because he read the Chinese export control as like a straight up ban when it's not. It's just making sure, like, you know, I mean,
which that was even crazier to me, that I'm like, you're the president and your information's not as good as like mine.
It makes it look bad for the negotiation, right? It makes it look like you maybe don't know what's going on, or maybe it's a good. I don't know. I read the art of the deal. This wasn't in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good tidbit that I didn't touch on, was that part of him saying my bad was that he was just basically like, I totally read that wrong. So like I just, you know,
dollars. It's only trillions of dollars in the fates of two countries. It's not that big of a deal. So we got to cut him some slack. But I think it is generally, you know, we're in for some volatility. It's going to be kind of just dependent on fucking Braun did make it. Well, the Braun's in the market, dude.
He means Baron, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Baron got his short put in time, right?
Yeah. Volatility brings up a good point. A lot of his admin were on Fox News. He's a boomer mainstream news org watcher. So incorporate that into your trading strategies. Think of it as like, is the president going to say something about this? Probably.
I mean, and that's an interesting point, like, because they do touch on that a lot. That, I mean, there's so many photos, so many behind the scenes videos, whatever, where you always see Fox News on whatever the screen is, where, you know, he's in a situation room, he's in whatever, he's got, you know, it reminds me of Secession, where, you know, obviously it's a kind of a different story because it's the guy owns the news networks, but he's always watching like the boomer news, like at all times. Benny says no roadman hat. We down immensely. Yeah, that's why I didn't wear it today. I just felt like I'm not really feeling very I'm not like in a crime committing mood right now. I'm just kind of sullen. So, you know,
you're in a victimized mood. You're a crime mood right now.
Yeah. I'll pop the hat back on when I'm back to financial crime mode.
Yeah. I want to point this out because Control said, one, he's right. We're in Dogbone Village right now. Like I've been saying from a while, we're in Dogbone Village. Yeah, we live in Dogbone Village now, guys. Now, you also mentioned could it be worse? And the answer is yes. We are down 90%, but don't ever forget we can always go down another 90%. That's the beauty of mathematics. It's called calculus. We can go down forever, actually. You know?
Oh man, Egg says he longed that wick. Congrats, brother.
Look at him go, dude.
You know, we were talking about this when all this was happening, because obviously in the moment of those wicks, everybody's like, okay, I mean, this is obviously like an insane wick. It's time to buy. But then it's crazy because then you go to buy and you can't buy anywhere because Rabby's not working. If you had money on a centralized exchange, I guess you could buy, but even a lot of those weren't working. And that's kind of the ironic part, is it's like we're having this insane crash, and basically the people that get to win are still just like the institutional level people that have like APIs. They have like backdoor exchange APIs so that they can instantly execute their trades. So that's the ironic part, is it's like, and then those guys are still the guys that pretty much like sucked everything up, at like super cheap.
It's got me feeling two different things here, Drac. One, it's got me thinking, isn't it also super exciting when that stuff happens? It is like horrifying and terrible, but it's also like, oh, if I could just get in. I felt like I was like behind a plate glass window watching people just scoop up money. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to like,
you were like the Interstellar. He's like banging on the window.
Exactly, dude. I was like hammering 25x leverage at 7 cents, 25, 25, 25, nothing going through. But
yeah, I got bullshitted fast. I tried for about 10 or 15 minutes, couldn't get anything through anywhere. And I just, was like, fuck it. I just gave up. I'm going to come back in an hour.
Warlock, we got to talk about this more some other time, because I got a lot to say about this. Yeah, we did kind of let the vampire in, didn't we? We invited them in, and now they're just sucking us off in the worst possible way. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I mean, yeah, and we've talked about this before, that it's like I said, we had all those years where it was the institutions are coming, the liquidity's coming, the big money's coming to buy. And, everybody opens those doors because they want it so bad. And then it's like you get moments like this and you go, yeah, this is, you could actually be very wealthy in crypto and you don't have a chance to compete against these guys,
Yep. There's no chance, dude. There's no chance. They're just faster, stronger, better technology.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, they're boomers. Like I said, they got these APIs to execute their trades. And then furthermore, none of them have Rabby on their computers. So they're all using MetaMask and getting their trades through, while we were all, sitting here getting our dicks kicked with Rabby.
Look, let's commiserate just a little bit more about this, because it's a lot more than that. Even as I covered yesterday, they also don't have to suffer ADL or instant liquidations like we all do. They have special deals negotiated, so they can always cover their downside. They don't have to worry about getting auto deleveraged. Mm-hmm. It's a nightmare, guys. The market makers who have all the money also just refusing to do their jobs and pulling all their liquidity, dude.
Well, we were talking about this in the GMSONIC Telegram. If you're not in the GMSONIC Telegram, it's pretty spicy in there. I suggest you join. Link somewhere. But I was discussing this, that in terms of like DeFi and like on chain and all that stuff, it's like the market makers actually do really well, because probably for a solid day, they just get free arb trades between the exchanges and on chain. And it's actually like, I don't want to say it's like Christmas, because I'm sure those guys have money like in their own accounts that they're losing and all that stuff. But from a business standpoint, it's like those guys are just like, they're not even worried about the spreads and all that stuff at that moment. They're just racing to arb everything because it's free money. And it was probably free money for, I bet it was free money for like 12 hours, 10 hours, whatever,
Millions of dollars, dude. Hundreds of millions of dollars made easily.
Yeah. Crazy. Benny says I'm mad at Rabby. I'm kind of mad at Rabby because, it's like, it's a great wallet. It's nice to see your port and everything, but it's just like, in moments like this, it's like, what's the point then if I can't execute like in some insane, Yeah. And I know they're working on it. I've heard a lot about it. It was kind of a big deal on Sonic. The tech team on Sonic was like scrambling to work with Rabby during all that. And they like mobilized immediately and they were working on it because, it was kind of like crazy. It was like, in terms of networks, Sonic operated flawlessly, but the network, it doesn't matter if the network's working good. If, you have something like Rabby that's like not working and not executing quickly and all that stuff. So,
oh yeah. And much like Fallout Zone, similarly, when I was experiencing this issue with Rabby, I fucking downloaded and reinstalled MetaMask.
I did too.
I was like, this is perfect timing for the airdrop. Maybe MetaMask orchestrated this whole thing to get everyone to use their wallet, just
Maybe.
crash the thing.
Yeah, I went as far as doing that, and then I realized I was on like my laptop and I didn't have like on me like my seed phrase, and I just like pretty much rage quit. I was just like, I'm just gonna come back in an hour. I'm coming back in an hour. So yeah, I mean, frustrating all around. I mean, a lot of terrible stories, a lot of sad stories. I don't like, I mean, some of the stories I've heard, it is insane where I'm like, you had that much money, like in this kind of crazy risk profile or whatever.
Yeah.
But I still hate hearing like, it's like, I know you would feel like it was for nothing if you got some huge, like most of your net worth liquidated. And then like today, Ethereum's over $4,000. And you know what I mean? Like we still have a ways to go to march back up, but it's not like Ethereum's under 2K again. And you know what I mean? It's like,
so I really want to give my bull case to this guy here, Hassan here, because I saw another question that's kind of similar. I want to give my bull case for Sonic here, and I promise it does tie into kind of what happened on Friday here a little bit, but I want to commiserate further with you here in that it is like criminal, man. Like that's kind of insane. Like it's not. I don't know if enough people are as morally outraged. Maybe not morally outraged. We still have to figure out if someone actually did something wrong, but it's like this is not a sign, like this is not an example of like, oh, you should blame yourself, dude. Like,
yeah,
this is like something really fucked up, like really, really, really bad. And it's like, this is not normal market activity. Like the reason why this kind of shit doesn't happen in the stock markets, right? Like, I guess it's coming up. I've heard people talk about this before, but like those circuit breakers would be really important. And I don't really understand why at least a centralized exchange doesn't employ them. That would make, they have no, what do you call it? Philosophical conflict with employing circuit breakers. And it's well within their capabilities to do so. But anyway, not to belabor the point too much. It was fucked up. I'm mad. I want to see people in jail for it, okay? I want to see that guy, Garrett. I've been following that guy. Garrett Jin, the famous shorter guy, the guy that shorted.
Yeah.
It's funny because he's just been coping nonstop. He's like, you can't blame me, dude. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything. Exposed as like the guy who like rugged Bit4X like years ago.
Yeah, anyway, yeah.
So my point here is, and like Drac was saying, the network performed perfectly. It was more so a lot of things built on the network that were not performing, like Rabby, right? Rabby was not performing up to snuff.
Oh, whoops, missed my thing. All right, there we go.
My thing here is, I think you can look at this as quite bullish in that, not bullish. It's not bullish, right? Because we went down. But from where we've landed, it seems like still volatile, but I'm still extremely bullish on Sonic. One, I think this whole incident was a strong argument for decentralized finance, right? For decentralization in general. And I think one, just surviving the stress test was really good. I also think, we're kind of, it feels like just like an open field ahead of Sonic right now, though, too, right? I can't talk too much about price on this show, but I will say also all the leverage getting flushed out of the system does kind of give us like a better kind of like jumping off point for moving forward, right? Kind of like shed a lot of luggage, a lot of weight.
Yeah, and I think that the new CEO and everything, there was some good moves. Obviously, most people here, I'm sure, are familiar with what happened. I won't read the whole post, but basically, a new CEO, Mitch, came out and just was very fast with the communication. Said we're making moves. And they did a $6 million S buyback. Pretty much at the bottom there. I thought it was a good show of, confidence in the product, confidence in the network. And yeah, he just laid it out kind of like what we were just talking about, that, the network performed flawlessly. The fundamentals have always been there. So then they include this with, a really large buyback. So I thought it was like a nice show of confidence. And yeah, I mean, I think
I
that
agree.
the
This
speed of the communication and everything else, it was like a nice shift,
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what people have been wanting, and I think it's a really good sign of what's to come, right? Because one, that was like an immediate communication, right? Like one day afterwards, that's I would say acceptable within corporate parameters of addressing these kinds of things. The buyback vote of confidence. Although, let's be honest here, was good. They got good price. They got. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
entirely. What do you call
But
it?
but that was part of it too. It was they totally market bought it. Like there wasn't some kind of
Yeah.
OTC or something. They put that directly into the market. So yeah, I love to see it.
I want to bring up another point too is the unlimited supply Son mentioned, because I think this is something that kind of stresses a lot of people out when they look at Sonic, the unlimited supply. Correct me if I'm wrong, but while they've retained the right to like mint tokens, it does have to go through governance. Every time they've issued tokens recently, it's gone through governance. So it's not like they're just minting whenever.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously still a process. I think that governance will also probably be looked at here in the near future with how it operates and everything. But yeah, I mean, that's still very much, part of the deal is it's not just like, oh, everything's been communicated, everything's, voted on or whatever. So, Warlock here says diehard fans know it's not infinite supply. The problem is that it shows as infinite on CMC. And yeah, and I agree with that. It's funny how even on like a network level or whatever, you guys wouldn't believe like how hard it is to, I mean, get coin market cap to like spend engineering time or whatever to do like any of this stuff. It's like it's a struggle. But yeah, I know that that's something that's been being looked at is like, trying to get them to recognize what the actual supply is, what's been burned, just like making sure everything is like lined up correctly. So yeah, but I agree that needs to be fixed. And I know they've been working on that. So it's just like I said, they're that hard to deal with.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to bounce off in their due diligence when they see that. But, we can't, I think things are turning around. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much all I can say about it right now. Right. We still got to wait for a lot of things to start materializing here. Right. Some more initiatives and the like. But I think the wheels are turning. Right.
Yeah. I mean, something else to look at is I pulled up the dominance chart, like as the actual candles today, not like the big, whatever thing. Cause I just wanted to show the walkthrough here, like how we've been, slowly moving towards more Ethereum alt friendly Bitcoin dominance. Obviously, what you have right here is when all the stuff went down, Bitcoin dominance, went up to 63% on the wick. But you look here, and this is the weekly, by the way. So, you look here and you can see that Bitcoin is like slowly losing dominance again. So someone early in the show, I think it was Crown. Let me see if I can find it. He was basically just asking like, are we like, oh, here it is. Yeah. Crown said like, what are your thoughts on this shakeout being the rotation towards Ethereum and altcoins? Yeah. I mean, the fact that we're seeing Bitcoin dominance kind of like stabilize and look like it's pointing more back towards like the downtrend, I still think is good for alts, good for Ethereum. I think that it kind of, to me, like what a lot of this shows is that there's obviously still a lot of belief in the market. You know what I mean? There's a lot of conviction in the market. I think that it's just while we wait for, the tariff situation and Powell and everything else, I just think, yeah, we're just kind of like, we're like in a holding pattern a bit again.
Yeah. It's, one of the things that's messed up about trading or investing is that so much of it is sitting on your hands and like waiting to see if something is going to happen, right? And I think that's what gets a lot of people, especially because like your first instinct after something really, oh, dude, funeral. We got games. Funeral. I don't know if you watched my stream yesterday or I don't remember when I did. I think it was Thursday, Friday. We got to talk, dude. I got a game idea, dude. We're going to become millionaires, okay? I've got a really good betting idea. Anyway, what were we saying? Oh, yeah. I don't remember. Completely spaced out. I'm sorry about that. Got distracted. I was trying to think about Westfall. Oh, Warlock said this, which is kind of interesting. Daily hoping because of Flying Tulip each day, it looks more integrated into Sonic. That's very true. I think also, again, to my narrative point about, look, never let a good tragedy go to waste. That's a classic political theory, right? If something fucked up happens, you got to capitalize it on as a politician. Similarly, it seems to me as an investor, it's a very similar thing, investor or trader. This huge cataclysm on Friday exposed a lot of weaknesses in the market and exposed a lot of players that are not really playing the game up to snuff, right? And Flying Tulip, interestingly enough, I think, I don't know if Andre is a genius or what, but it seems like he kind of predicted some of these problems. The Oracle pricing being what, like all internal on Flying Tulip? Yeah, without the Oracle baggage is a huge one. The hunger for people there, it's gonna be awesome, dude. It fits in perfectly to address what happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, just like a quick recap, basically a lot of platforms that, have futures or perps or whatever, one of the biggest problems in the industry for years is oracles and price feeds and everything else being manipulated. So what a lot of platforms do at this point is, they'll take 4, 5, 6 major feeds, make some kind of average for their price feed. And you do that because of this exact situation, right? You do that so that, let's say you have Coinbase, Binance, some kind of on-chain feed, Pyth, Chainlink, whatever. You meld all those together into like one average. The idea is, hey, when something happens like it did at Binance where they crashed USDE, you're still taking like that average, right? So it doesn't like actually cause liquidations. So the issue on Binance was basically they use they were using like an internal order book feed, right?
Yeah.
And when they were able to push USDE down enough, that started initial liquidations, and then it just spiraled out from there. So the idea is that Flying Tulip has like a different system where, yes, it does use like in-house pricing, but it still takes other things into account in terms of liquidity and volume and some other stuff. They're calling it smart something. We'll have to find out later. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it's an innovation for the DEX where, yeah, like you are taking like having to have TWAP oracles or, hard-coded oracles. You're taking all that out of the equation, but you're still able to kind of like monitor for manipulation as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, though. Part of this is all kind of conspiracy theory, but I think at this point, most people are more confident that it was an attack. Binance had announced publicly that they were going to be shifting to more of like the model I was talking about. And it was literally going to be today, the 14th, where it was going to be more of like a multiple feeds average kind of deal. So it's very obvious that somebody said, hey, we got to like try to put something together before they do that. And I think the Trump part of it was honestly just like a very nice coincidence for the attackers. I think that they probably figured we can like snatch up 10, 15 million really fast or something. They ended up snatching up 190 million. Yeah. So I think honestly, the tariff part was probably just like a very insane freak coincidence that they were staging this attack while that kind of happened.
Yeah, the timing is kind of like suspicious, but it's also could just be coincidental, right? Like it also could just be good cover, right? Like if there's going to be a market downturn, I'm going to manufacture an even sharper one. Why not do it into one that's,
Yeah, and there was a good post. I don't have it on me, but I would otherwise pull it up. It's kind of long anyway. But basically the post was that in China, this news about the rare earth stuff has been like top headline news for weeks. So you could also look at it as if these attackers were like, let's say in China or Asia, they may have also kind of timed this being like something hasn't happened yet, but it's about to.
Yeah.
Because the idea was that, you know, the guy's post was basically saying like, everybody's acting like it's this conspiracy, but in Asia, it's been talked about for weeks that this was definitely going to like come to some kind of collision with Trump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's hard to say because like there's part of me that's still very conspiratorial about there seems like there's some kind of collusion with the short. And also like the timing of the depeg of the oracles doesn't necessarily match with like the first price drop. I actually was curious if you, I don't know if you would know this, but it's like if Binance is all right, so like, is it possible that if Binance's price oracles depegged internally for something like USDE, that would then cause these cascades before even the price like publicly updates, like on an API feed?
Maybe, but from what I understand, the timing is maybe not as sus as everybody thinks, because apparently the entire attack took about 12 hours to. It was like they had to actually work on the attack for like the majority of the day before there was even the tariff thing. In terms of the attack, you know, the short position was obviously opened when they said, okay, like we're about to do like the final, you know, strike here that's going to like take it, you know, wherever. But yeah, I mean, you know, the craziest part about it is this doesn't help, but it just kind of shows you the Oracle problem, because the craziest part about all of it was that USDE itself was never at any risk of depegging at all.
Yeah, that was like the crazy thing is, and this is like part of what made the oracles for Binance kind of confusing, like reading about it, was like why would they ever use their own internal price feeds for an external asset that has proof of reserves? Like I don't like the thing that keeps USDE at peg isn't necessarily like the trading that's happening. Like this maybe the arbitrage, but it's the redemptions that keep USDE at peg.
Yeah.
So if they're good for redemptions, it doesn't really fucking matter. Like, yeah, we can have like our pricing fluctuate based off trading patterns, but like our standard price would be $1, right?
Yeah, and then that's the funny part is yeah, so the entire time USDE never at any risk of depegging itself, right? That information of all their reserves and everything, as a user, you have access to. So really, you're talking about just kind of laziness that something as big as Binance, why would they not be, you know, tapped in to like that aspect?
Why, right? It's like, oh, we could just like we are like we are the largest exchange everyone's using us. Why don't we just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I said though, it's like it's a too big to fail mentality. Like Yankee says here on the flip side. So, you know, you had the bad Oracle stuff on Binance. On the Aave side, I guess you could also argue that could also be a bad idea in its own right.
He's being cheeky, dude. They didn't actually hard code it to USDT, did they?
No. Aave's price is hard coded, and that's the only reason they didn't have liquidations, which we would be in a 50, 60, 70% worse situation if they had also been able to trigger Aave after the Binance depeg. But it's funny because hard coding was very controversial last run. Like last run, there were several exploits that took advantage of hard coding. So it's kind of ironic that on the flip side of Binance being like, oh, you know, why are you bothering having your own feed when you could just tap into reserves? Aave was just like, nah, it's just $1 no matter what. But like I said, the ironic part is it maybe saved like the industry. Like, I don't know what would have happened if you had those liquidations and they also had all of their USDE positions start being liquidated as well. I mean, it would have been 100 times worse than what we got.
Yeah. Benny's asking, was the Scream debacle because of hard coding?
Yes, it was. It was like I said, it was like last run you had the opposite effect where hard coding was like kind of frowned upon because there were several exploits where people where a stable token or an algo stable had depegged, so people could scoop it up and find, somewhere that had it hard coded and, keep the difference or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to me. This is a very complicated thing, like the oracles, like pricing. I kind of touched on it, but like you could do like an entire goddamn PhD on
Yeah.
price. How do I price something? How do I even broadcast price and the like?
And it's, and it's like I said, I mean, several big brain people over the years have basically been like, it's the biggest problem in DeFi and in crypto. And I tend to agree with it, because if you look at it, this was over, I don't want to say it was over nothing, because there were things that were happening, but at the end of the day, it was just pure oracle manipulation, and that was it. None of this had to happen at the scale it happened at. Yes, stock market equities were taking a beating that day, but we're talking, what, 5, 6, 10% compared to, 90% quick drawdowns on some of those wicks and stuff.
Yeah. We're talking, I mean, honestly, insane shit, dude. Like a $5 asset dropping to 0 in 3 minutes is insane.
Yeah. I mean, Sonic touched 7 or 8 cents. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And, Warlock supporting your point here. Oracle tax have been the most, he says the most dangerous lately. The Sui one was an Oracle one also. I would say Oracle attacks have been the most dangerous ones for a while. I think. I think most of the biggest hacks have relied on price manipulation through the Oracle. But little change of tack here. I think we might be running out of time here. I don't know about your schedule, Drac, but I got some notes here for the show here, a little last minute. One of them is something kind of interesting. Well, I guess let's celebrate Sonic a little bit more here. Reflexivity. Do you know Reflexivity? They're a research firm. They wrote a nice little article here about Sonic Labs' U.S. expansion, institutional access, and capital formation. I'm wearing a kimono, Warlock. I'm being, what do you call it? International. So this is another part of the reason why I'm extremely bullish on Sonic still. We're kind of down at a low, but like courting outside capital and getting all the rails set up, it just seems like a kind of a no-brainer to me. Like we don't have a lot of room to go down still, but we have a lot more room to go up. I know I just said we can always go down 90%, but with the interest being paid, it just seems like a smarter bet to me.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I wanted to quickly talk about, I don't know if you've heard about this. This has been going around a lot on X. Hopefully they have the picture of her on this. Oh no, this is not the lady. So I saw people saying like, what is this? What is a pig butchering scam? Do you know what a pig butchering scam is?
I'm not familiar with that.
So one, this is a crazy number, $15 billion worth of Bitcoin from a pig butchering scam based in Cambodia. So pig butchering scam is this. They're very popular. They call them pig butchering scams in China, right? But it's a popular scam all over the world. It's just being catfished. It's a woman, it's a person, usually a guy or a team of guys, pretending to be a sexy Asian woman. And she gets into your DMs or on Hinge or on Tinder. Like they use dating apps for this as well. And there are a lot more. Some of them are really like exactly what you'd think with like a low-class scammer. But a lot of them also run very professional operations where like they know to seem like an actual person for at least a couple days. And what they do is they get you to send them crypto, right? That's a pig butchering scheme. They call it pig butchering because it's like you capture a pig and then you just butcher it, like you gut it. That's what they're doing is they're just gutting you once they.
Yeah, we call it catfishing. They call it pig butchering.
Yeah, so I think this is crazy. $15 billion has been captured by that. You guys need to go outside and talk to real women, dude. No beautiful Asian woman is going to randomly DM you, okay, and then ask for a Bitcoin, right?
I got my idea for my next business.
Oh yeah,
so we're going in, man. We're gonna have the AI waifu avatars. We're just gonna slide in everyone's DMs, see what we can shake out here. Say, we want to send you a picture, but our internet's off. I'm having to use my phone. Whatever, send us like $10 in Bitcoin. We can get the internet turned back on, or I don't know, whatever.
It's natural, dude. I gotta, but Drac, honestly, though, think about this. How hard would it be to take an AI chatbot like model, right? And then just get it to, like train it to just start getting people to give it, like
Yeah.
send this address. Like guide the conversation to sending me money at this address.
I think we should put Spawn on hold and get Seg on this.
Yeah,
and
Seg,
we use all the funds stolen to buy back S.
Yeah, all of it's gonna be used to market buy S, dude.
Yeah, man, I think it's a winner, honestly.
That's how we're gonna save the network, fellas.
Oh man. Well, yeah, that's about all we got time for today. I got to slide out here a little early, but yeah, just hang in there. Like I said, don't full port anything. Don't go too crazy. I don't know. I think we have some good prices here to scoop some stuff up. But yeah, I think that my idea is probably we're just going to be kind of like crabbing like this until the end of the month, or I don't know. Maybe they do resolve this. If the tariff stuff happens the way it's been happening, then unfortunately we probably have to wait until like the day or two before the tariffs are supposed to hit. But hey, maybe we get lucky and they, wrap this up nice and early, like this week or something.
Call your congressman, call your senator, beg them, please take away this fucking guy's phone. Do not let him post anymore. He doesn't need to be doing it, dude.
He needs like a monitored internet time. Yes. Like he's your like 7-year-old. You know what I mean? They need to put like the 30-minute, 1 hour thing on his phone. And if he's on the phone, someone needs to be like standing, like just kind of like looking over his shoulder just to like slap it out of his hands. If he's like, if they see something long form, then you got to just slap it out of his hands or whatever. Grab it, run. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Dr. DeFi asking, what are we buying on Sonic? Well, I'll tell you what I've already bought and what I will continue to buy. Goggles, Fox, and what was the other one? There was something else. Oh, I was looking at LSD the other day. Holy shit. I don't know what that team is doing, dude, but they're cooking like crazy, man.
They're cooking, man. And then, of course, good deals on all the DEX tokens, everything.
Oh, yeah. I saw someone make a pretty decent post about this, about they had price targets. I forget who it was. But guys, I urge you all to formulate a strategy and then stick to the strategy. Don't let yourself get buffeted by emotions, basically. That's basically what I will say. Don't let the FOMO get to you. This guy's example, he was just like, all right, at 20 cents, I'll buy major DEX tokens. At 30 cents, I'll explore like meme tokens. And if we were hit like 40, 50 and consistently hold that level, I'll look for more long tail tokens. Makes sense to me. Not necessarily exactly how I'd go about it, but at least the guy's got a plan. So guys, I urge you guys to have a plan. Don't just go full porting into random shit because it looks kind of good at the moment. All right. So anyway, also check out Spooky because they got really, look, I know I just told you to be careful, but like I blew a lot of money on Spooky perps because they let you do 25x on S. Psychotic, right?
Hey, good leverage there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my spiel. Thank you guys all for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, boost it all in the same. We really appreciate your support, and catch you guys on Friday.
I think Mimi was back Friday. She was going to be back today, but we had to move a little earlier because I got to run out. So I think Friday is the official return. So.
All right. Yeah. Mark your calendars, folks.
That's right. All right. We'll see you later.
Beast.
GMSONIC is Corval and Dracula Presley. GM.